This week's episode of the Run, Eat, Drink podcast is brought to you by listeners like you. Head on over to patreon.com/Run, Eat, Drink podcast and subscribe today. Fans, founders, and insiders like you help us keep the Run, Eat, Drink podcast going, and we thank you for your support.
I'm Bart Yasso, and you're listening to the Run, Eat, Drink podcast.
Welcome to the Run, Eat, Drink podcast. We feature destination races from across the country, and after the race, we take you on a tour of the best local food and beverage to celebrate. So whether you are an elite runner or a back of the packer like us, you'll know the best places to accomplish, explore, and indulge on your next runcation. Hey, welcome to episode 156 of the Run, Eat, Drink podcast. I'm your host, Aimee.
And I am your co-host, Dana.
Welcome to yet another exciting episode. You know when I am just giddy.
Beaming, even.
Yes.
I know why you're beaming.
Of course. And if anyone has tuned in for the last two episodes, then you all know why too.
We are, we are very fortunate to be rounding out our interview this week with the mayor of running, the man, the myth, the legend, Bart Yasso.
Oh, yeah.
We hope that you guys have been enjoying this series. We have had so much fun revisiting that talk that we had with him. And
he's just such a positive guy. So full of stories to inspire. I could listen to that interview, all three parts, over and over and over again.
Yeah, and what kills me is that we had that amazing 90-minute talk with him that was not planned.
He was so good about it. He was, we had agreed on 45 minutes and you stopped in the middle and said, well, we've hit the 45-minute mark. Do you have to go? And he's, no, I'm good. I just have to be done at this time. And, he just kept going and kept telling stories, and it wasn't even half of what was in his book.
No, and that was what I was going to say. What kills me is we had 90 minutes with him, and we just scratched the surface with him. He's had such an amazing career, and he's seen and done so much, and he's been around and part of running royalty over the years. Just incredible.
He's just so approachable and so easy to talk to.
Yeah, and we're hopeful that as you all are continuing your running training in 2021, as you're heading into this uncharted territory that is this year, coming off of the weirdness that was 2020, we're hoping that you can find some inspiration from him and maybe some helpful suggestions as well.
Yes, and you know what excites me about this episode in particular is that I don't want to spoil it. I'll talk about it. I'll talk about it after this part of the interview. Okay. So I'm really excited for this part of the interview, and see if you can guess why.
Okay.
That's all I'm going to say.
So that's going to be really the main thrust of the running portion of this week's show. But then we have some amazing food and beverage.
We do. We have explored and indulged around town.
Yeah. Well, not our town, but our neighboring town.
Yeah. Just outside our town.
Yeah. Most of you know, if you've been listening to the show for any length of time, Aimee and I live in the coastal city of Cape Coral, Florida. That's about 2 hours south of Tampa on the Gulf Coast.
We're about 3 hours away from Disney.
Yep. So we're about basically a day trip away from everything cool.
Yeah, pretty much. Key West. Yeah. Jacksonville, even.
So
longer trip, but yes, longer.
Say,
it's a longer day trip, but yeah.
Well, no, I was going to say you could drive to the Panhandle, but I'm like, no, I said the cooler parts of Florida.
Well, they are. All of the cities that we have just named are so cool. But what is really lucky for us is that we are maybe 15 minutes away from Fort Myers. And the downtown Fort Myers area has, we have covered the Downtown House of Pizza from downtown Fort Myers.
Is that the last time we went to downtown Fort Myers for the show?
Oh, I think it was when we did the Cops and Joggers put on by the Fort Myers Police Department. And yes,
I think you're right. And we
benefiting the Fallen Officers Fund and the Brotherhood Ride. And
yes, now we have featured a beer or two from a brewery down there.
Oh, yeah.
Millennial. Mm-hmm. But dining wise, I think you're right. I think that's the last time we featured food.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Good memory.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Look at the big brain on Aimee.
Wow. It's not that big. Let's be real.
So,
come on.
But we did. We decided on Saturday to make a brunch morning outing. And
we've been on the brunch kick lately.
We have.
We've been on the brunch kick and like the warm winter soups and stews and chilies thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this week's really no exception. So
true.
Food-wise, we found an amazing place in downtown Fort Myers that has, over the last couple of years, really become a major gathering place in downtown Fort Myers. And they've just recently opened a second location.
So excited for them.
And that is The Standard.
The Standard.
And we're going to be talking about some brunch items from The Standard. And then
I can't wait to go back and just try more from the brunch menu.
I know.
And from the regular all the menus, all the things.
Well, I'll say it's not just brunch, but their brunch game is strong.
Oh, yeah.
And then we are going in a different direction yet again with the beverages.
Yes. So, we love coffee.
If you follow us on social media at all,
it's no secret.
We post at least one coffee meme a day. Mm-hmm. Aimee does a almost daily coffee break live
coffee
stream,
chat, coffee break, whatever you want to call it. I don't know.
With everybody on Instagram. Mm-hmm. And we legitimately, I know both of us probably drink coffee a good portion of the day until at least lunch.
Yeah, I would say if I drink it in the evening, then it should really be an adult coffee. But I will
Aimee
tell
has
you.
rules. She has coffee rules.
I have rules. Does anybody else have coffee rules? Let me know.
Info, runeatdrink.net. Mm-hmm. If you have coffee rules.
If you have coffee rules.
Some people do.
Hashtag coffee rules.
Your coffee rules a little more recreational. Some people have coffee rules like they'll do caffeinated coffee in the morning until a certain time, and then after that it's decaf.
Decaf, yeah. Or adulted up coffee. Give me some Kahlua and Bailey's and
whatever else.
Yeah.
Bushmills.
Whiskey, yes.
Irish coffee, right? That's a different set of rules.
I'm so sorry. Now I'm just lost in thinking of all the different possibilities nighttime coffee can bring to me.
And then the main thing is don't confuse those recipes. So don't start your day out. That's a whole different result of your day if you do that.
I probably just blew out the audio with the laughter. But no, seriously. You know why this drink segment is of interest to me is because we have had, like, for example, we have had a cupping of coffee. We've had a pour over. We've had owner Caleb McPherson from Narrative get on here and just talk highfalutin coffee language that I had no idea about with you.
And you always are so quick to point out that I went to coffee college in
yes.
when I was in college because I worked for a company that sent all of its employees to a 2-week coffee school.
Yeah.
You got a little taste of that.
I went to, it was like a 2-hour coffee connoisseur tasting and certification class.
You even got a certificate. You're a certified coffee connoisseur now.
I am. But I thought I was a coffee connoisseur before.
But now you have a piece of paper that says it.
Yes.
That makes it official.
Yeah. So it was interesting, and it was also interesting to look at your facial expressions. I'll talk more about that in the drink segment of our show.
Okay. So yeah, we're going to talk about this coffee seminar that we went to. The amazing amazing hotel in downtown Fort Myers that hosted it.
Makes you want to have a staycation.
It absolutely does. And we're going to let you guys in on all of that. So that's what's coming up in this week's episode of the show. So we are super excited that you guys are here.
Yeah. I probably have belabored this and gone on and on about this whole coffee situation. And
I know, you know what? Based on the number of people that show up to your coffee chats, I think that we have a lot of kindred spirits out there when it comes to the coffee situation.
I agree wholeheartedly.
I think they're going to enjoy that portion. So we'll get back to that in a bit. But
enough with the banter. On to the show.
On to the running portion. And
Yes.
before we do the interview,
Yeah.
I actually want to congratulate you.
Why?
Well, this morning we went out for our morning run. And this was
In quotation marks.
You say that. You actually ran, and I didn't even do that because I had both dogs in tow and they were wanting to chase rabbits this morning. We have little
You didn't chase
cottontail.
them? You didn't run with them?
Oh no, we have cottontail rabbits in our neighborhood, and I had the dogs on short leads. I have some 6-point Schutzhund leads that I can actually loop over my body to keep them very close to me.
Yeah.
And I basically was almost being dragged by these two dogs because they were wanting to either chase you or chase the bunnies, one or the other. Because down here in Florida, we're still having a little bit of a cold snap.
Which is so nice.
And we better enjoy it while we can.
I know we say cold snap and it's like in quotations because
It's all relative.
It's all relative depending on where you are.
Given we woke up this morning, it was 50 degrees. And that for us, that's very chilly
Yay.
and it's very pleasant.
I love it.
It's about a 45 to 48 degree delta from our hottest days of the year where we live. So we very much welcome this kind of weather for the short amount of time that we get it during the year. And we went out for our run, and Aimee got to do some running. She did some short intervals.
Like 5 seconds.
And you looked great.
At a clip. And I'm not telling you, it's not like running. He's giving me more credit than I deserve, I think, because it was more like a shuffle.
She was running.
Yeah.
And
very slowly, like a turtle.
Great posture, good turnover. Everything I was seeing mechanically looked fantastic. And it was the longest distance, I think, that you've gone since surgery.
Yeah, it was.
So that was I think it was a nice accomplishment. It's something to celebrate.
Oh, it was close to 2 miles.
That's fantastic.
All said and done because the Therabeast.
#Therabeast.
Kristen, she said, go out there. We've been talking about just like shuffling for half a mile, but see what a mile feels like. And I broke it up into a warm-up walk and then a little bit of just let's shuffle a little bit like a drill, like a cadence drill, like an acceleration glider.
That's what it looked like, yeah.
To see how it would feel getting in and out, and it feels like I'm plodding along.
It's amazing how quickly, if you've been out of it, how quickly you feel like you've lost some of it.
Yeah.
But it's also going to come back quickly. I'm
plodding along, but it feels good to try that again, to get back out there again. And I think the danger is you remember how it was, and then you want to get back there so fast, and you think, oh, it's not going to take me any time to get back there fast. I'll get back to where I was when I was having a PR and blah, blah, blah. And it's just, and you can't, the temptation is to beat yourself up and want to get there faster. And I think I want to focus on the small victories and enjoying the journey.
Very smart.
I know that's like cliche. And
no, look, it's not. And it's also a good approach to take to keep yourself from re-injuring yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the main thing.
Yeah. I don't want to do that.
So little running update for Aimee there. That was fantastic to see. You were kicking butt.
Thanks.
So yay. I'm shouting you out.
Yay.
But now.
And hey, just as we round out and we head into the interview, I would just like to shout out everybody in the Runcation Nation that was putting in miles toward a big virtual or putting in miles at an actual live race.
This is true.
This weekend. We had several people.
And we also still have members of the Runcation Nation working towards finishing their Donna.
Yeah, like Dawn B. Disney.
So.
And me.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to do it eventually.
This is baby steps towards the accomplishment of that virtual goal. So keep it up, guys. You're almost there.
Yay.
We got 25 days, 26 days left in the month. So there's plenty of time.
Yeah.
Plenty of time.
Yeah.
So now you guys are caught up on Aimee's running adventures, my misadventures with the dogs and the cottontails that are in the neighborhood.
You were out there looking after me, and I appreciate it.
The dogs were too. They were wanting to catch up to you, but anyway, we don't want to keep you guys waiting any longer. We know if you've been listening the last couple of weeks, you're incredibly excited to hear the conclusion of this interview. We are thrilled to be able to bring it to you. The man doesn't really need an introduction. We have introduced him. We have doted on him for the last couple of weeks. So let's get to it. This is part 3 of our interview with the mayor of running,
Bart Yasso.
You talk a lot about focusing on the wrong things in running and deciding to pivot your focus as you entered your 40s, which led you to win your first marathon at age 43.
I loved that story.
Yeah.
Oh,
now we're back at the pack runners.
Yeah,
and
totally.
We're probably not going to win any races, but we love running and we see the magic in running. And I want to hear from you. What do you think that us or runners like us ought to focus on in our training, and what pitfalls should we avoid?
Yeah. Overtraining is the worst thing you could do.
Yeah.
I wish. So when I won that marathon, I cut my mileage back to like 70 miles a week. And that's when I was running really well. And, I was in my mid 40s and was starting to slow down just because I was getting older. But being smarter with my training really helped me out. So I always tell people that you got to find the training plan that works for you. Look at a plan that you think really helps you, that would really is a good fit for you, and then tweak that to what you need, based on family life, work, all the things you juggle.
Balance, yeah.
And balance it out that the program really works for you. And the key to our sport is to stay injury free. And listening to your body is so key. I saw some post on Instagram, a runner that I know said, when you feel like crap at mile 1 and 2 and everything hurts, push on and go up to 10 miles. And I thought, wow, now I know why that person sends me an email like once a month on their injury. So I said, you got to listen to your body. If you're really hurting, like you shouldn't push on. That's your body sending you a signal to back off. So I don't get running injuries because I don't push myself that much anymore. And I stay within myself. 25 miles a week. Yeah. If I can get 25 miles a week, I am so happy.
Yeah.
I do 3 and 4 mile runs, and the pace I'm running is literally I run half the speed I used to run, and I'm fine with it. The one thing that never changed with me, I never lost the joy of that I get out of running, and I never lost the passion to be a runner. I did slow down tremendously, and I can't do the mileage I used to, but it doesn't mean anything. So I always tell new runners that are out there, people that are newer to the sport, you got to think of being a runner for life. And if you take that attitude, you're going to look that way and say, okay, I'm not feeling real well today. I'll back off or not run at all, do something else to use an elliptical or something. And then that's going to keep you uninjured, that you're going to be happier and stay in the sport a lot longer. And hopefully for life, because it is a sport you can do for life. And that's how I could go out there and push myself a little bit harder, but I know I'd get injured and there's no fun in that. So I don't do it.
And it's not benefiting you.
No.
No. And the biggest mistake people make is overtraining. If you go to a race undertrained, you're going to be so much better off than going to a race overtrained.
It's better to do that because I think that you can then adjust your pace and that's why negative splits exist. That's why that's what I think is going out conservatively and slower. And we e-coach with Jeff Galloway. All of that you have said about running injury free and being the captain of your own ship, he says, and you're in control of that pace and you can slow and then you can take charge and finish strong.
Right. Yeah. So, Jeff, his first marathon was like 56 years ago. Guy's amazing.
I know.
He's a machine.
He is a machine. Yeah. I mean, he's in mid 70s, still going strong, looks great.
Fueled by Coca-Cola and
I think we were on the Donna marathon course and we saw he passed us because all the corrals were together and so he was passing us and we saw in his pocket his defizzed Dr. Pepper. It was fantastic.
That's what they put in aid stations years ago.
Yeah.
That is just crazy.
First couple marathons I did, I believe maybe they had 2 aid stations in a marathon.
2?
Wow.
And, there was water and then they had what they called defizz Coke. So the race director would buy these liters of Coke, take the caps off on like Wednesday. So by Sunday there was no fizz in it and they just pour them in cups and that's what we drank. Yeah, it was much, much different and there was never a morsel of food on a course.
Oh, wow.
And never, ever, ever a bathroom on the course. I mean,
get creative.
Yeah. It is such a different world these days. I would think I had 20 marathons under my belt till this thing called the finisher medal came along.
Ah, yeah. Yeah.
It was a big deal. I remember being at a half marathon one time outside of Seattle and they didn't have finisher medal, and this was after medals started becoming popular. Mm-hmm. And these runners finished, and they were like, "Where's our medal?" On the race director, we don't have medals. And they said, "You can. That's impossible. Every race has medals." And I said, "No, not really." and so I ended up connecting with people. They ended up buying their own medals at some place and making their own medals. Yeah. I mean, it meant that much to them. So,
Yeah.
But that's one of the
there are do-it-yourself ones out there.
They built a running memory.
Yeah, that you can make. And yeah.
But that's one of those things that's changed in the sport. And it started off when the finisher medal first started showing up. It was only in the marathon. Mm. And then all of a sudden the half marathon started to do it. And then all the distance started to do it. It's a fun thing for people. I like that happened. But that was not around in the beginning. But really on this, what you guys need, you guys have it figured out. Just keep it fun and make what's enjoyable to you. Don't say, I have to be this person or this person. That's not what it's about. The sport, you can have so much fun with it. You can travel all over the place.
You can see the world through running.
Yeah. But to do that, you need to stay injury free. Keep it fun.
Yes.
I always tell young kids always ask me, they want a job like I had when they, get out of college and all this stuff. And I said, well, you better keep it fun. I mean, go out and race hard. And that doesn't mean you don't race hard, but you've got to keep this sport fun or you're not going to be doing it.
Yeah. For a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. These kids that live down the street from me, I mean, they look at me and, Medicare carrying retired guy. These kids are, the twins are 9 and the other kid's 11.
Wow.
It's so fun to have them run in my yard and I time them and stuff, but they think, you still run? And I go, yes, of course I still run. I run by your house all the time. But they look at me that I'm so old, they can't believe someone my age can run. But I was probably the same way when I was, their age. So it's just different.
Not only do you run, you could definitely teach them a thing or two.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a lot of fun with them. It's really kind of cool.
Well, now you mentioned the overtraining being the worst thing to do, and we are heading into you're in the chute to the finish line for our interview here today. But your comment about overtraining being one of the worst things you could do leads us into a listener question.
Yes.
From one of our patrons on Patreon, Rob Nadow. He asks, most, if not all, sports have an off season. It seems that running does not have one. Can recreational runners benefit from an off season? And what could one do besides running during that time if a short break is taken?
Yeah. Rob has a great question. The answer is yes. Everyone should take some downtime. And I still suggest running a little bit, but if you have a watch on, don't look at it. Don't have it beep at the mile or half mile. Turn the sound off, whatever you can do, because you just want to go out there and run for joy and just to be outside and just to be part of the running, but back off. And I think it's a great thing to do because it'll keep you in the sport a lot longer. One of the few things that always helped me is I always liked to cycle.
Nice.
And I did triathlon and did the Ironman and all that stuff years ago.
Well, you biked across the country.
I did that twice, yes.
I now associate you with Pizza Hut.
Yeah.
With that story you tell in your book about Pizza Hut.
I ate a lot of pizza in my day.
And Taco Bell. I associate you with Taco Bell too, but for a whole different reason.
Right. Taco Bell, the burro that I raced.
Yeah, for the burro racing, yes.
Yeah. It's so funny when I speak to a lot of running clubs, some of the clubs, I meet a lot of people that do a lot of triathlons and ride a lot of bikes. And I always tell people, out of all the fun I had in running, the most fun athletic thing I've ever done was riding my bike across the U.S. twice. I mean, it is an unbelievable way to see the country. Just cruising along at like 15 miles an hour on a bicycle and meeting people and taking it all in and seeing the difference in towns and as you go along. It's amazing how our fabric of this country is set up, and you really understand it when you're on a bike. If you're on the interstate doing 70 miles an hour, you don't get
so much,
But on a bike, you can really see it. And, I was solo both times, so I had to rely on stopping and getting food and stuff. So I met a lot of people, and it was pretty interesting there's a lot of people that never leave the town that they live in. I mean, they're within 30 or 40 miles from where they live, and they're cool with that. It's amazing to me. And I really got to experience that. It was by far the coolest athletic thing I've ever done was right across the U.S. twice.
Wow.
Now, I've teased you about Taco Bell and I've teased you about Pizza Hut.
Yeah.
But we have an eating question from one of our patrons as well, from one of our listeners, Susie. Susie Becks, she asks, what is your go-to race day breakfast, or what do you eat in the week leading up to a big race?
Yeah, I never used to eat breakfast. And when, the Boston Marathon used to start at noon and we never had breakfast, it was just different. Yeah. But now I eat breakfast. So I eat breakfast every morning, and I never drank coffee till recently. And now I drink coffee every morning. So I get up, have a little toast and jelly or toast, and sometimes I put peanut butter on it. Sometimes I put jelly on it. But I do have a cup of coffee and put something in my stomach, and it really helps me out. I wish I would have done that years ago. But when I was younger, like if I started a run at 6 a.m., I got up at 5:45.
Yeah, just
a little different.
There you go. Out the door.
I start running at 7 a.m. I'm up at 5 to have some coffee, have a little bite to eat, stretch a little, get moving around. It's a little different than older age. I always say to runners, you're either a coffee person or you're not. And if you are a coffee person, it does pay to get up early and have coffee and a little bite to eat. And you have some downtime before you get out there and run.
Yeah.
And that's what I tend to do. But I'm also retired and don't have to go to work in the mornings. Before COVID, right now I run early in the morning because I try to avoid people. I like to run on this rail trail that we have. And if I go early, I don't see anybody. So I tend to go early. But I was always a runner that ran at lunchtime at work. Partially because when you work at Runner's World, we had this little blackboard, and I'd just write, hey, going for a 10-mile run, I'll be back at this time. And, so people knew where I was. But it's fun to have a job like that where you just 10-mile run is you do your 10-mile run at lunchtime, and then you come back and eat lunch. It was
that's awesome.
Different if you had a real job, but that was had to be
if you had a real job.
Yeah, it was so weird because it was sort of like it was kind of like not a real job, so to speak. But I worked hard. It wasn't not like I didn't do anything. But anyway, back on the question, it is beneficial to get something in your stomach early in the morning. I learned that. So, and again, if you're not a coffee person,
don't do it.
You probably don't have to get up that early. But if you are a coffee person, I suggest allowing some time before you head out to run. Yeah. Get something in your stomach, get that coffee, and then I think it's beneficial.
Coffee.
Well, we've covered.
I meet some people every once in a while that don't drink coffee, and I always tell them, don't start, because once you start, you're never going to stop. You're going to be lucky.
It's true.
And on race day, especially if you're, if you're having that coffee, you might have to prep for a bio break.
Yeah, potty prep, something.
At some point on the course.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have covered a running question.
Yes.
We've covered an eating question. We do have a drinking question as well.
Yeah.
And this has to do with pre-race, during race, and post-race hydration practices.
Sure. Okay.
What are yours and what do you recommend?
Yeah. So, a summertime race or warm temperature race, obviously I would take some fluids in early in the morning. Probably cut off the fluids about 45 minutes before the start so you can make a couple bathroom breaks and then not have to stop after the race starts.
Yeah.
But it does pay to hydrate a little bit the morning of the race. During the race, I love those Cliff blocks. For some reason, those are the best for me. And, you got to experiment what works for you.
Yeah.
One of those things really work for me. I love them, and they're easy to carry.
Mm-hmm.
And then I really make sure, especially in warmer temperatures, to concentrate that I have fluid on the course, or somehow I'm going to get fluid, whether I got to do loops or whatever you got to do to make sure you stay hydrated, because
that's what we do a lot.
Dehydrated is the worst.
Oh,
and then post-race, after you finish, it really does pay to make sure you are hydrated with some, whether it's an electrolyte drink afterwards or just some water, and then you can indulge in the adult beverage if that's your choice. I'm not a drinker, but a lot of runners are, so it's. But I always tell them, make sure you are hydrated.
Hydrate first.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Water, electrolyte.
Yeah, and if you can get a little bit of food in you, it's a big help.
Yeah, you could have some unfortunate circumstances if you don't get hydrated first. That's for sure.
Yeah. Alcohol will go right to your head if you're really dehydrated. It's not good. So runners and beer really get along for some reason.
It's true.
We didn't know that when we started.
It's true.
And that is actually something we've discovered over the last 4 years of doing the show.
There are a bunch of run clubs at breweries.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're hand in hand.
Yeah. And a lot of wine runs.
Yeah.
If a run has the word beer in it, you're going to get a lot of more guys than women. If a run has the word wine in it, you're going to get more women than men.
So
it's kind of like I see it, I go to some of these races, put it in wine country, and they are like 75% women. The girls go and do their girls trip. I go to one that's Mother's Day weekend, on the Saturday of Mother's Day weekend. Ooh. And, I always thought, wow, the race director's taking a chance having it near Mother's Day. But the women always tell me, we went to our husbands and say, look, you're not going to buy me anything stupid. What you're going to do is take care of the kids. I'm going off with 4 other girls. We're going to go get mud baths and all this stuff, run this half marathon. I'll be home by Saturday night and be there for Mother's Day.
There you go. That's a perfect gift.
Present. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny to see that.
So,
but I'm telling you, runners and beer, they go together.
Hand in glove. What do you have anything coming up on the horizon that you're you're looking forward to?
Or that you want to share with our listeners?
Yeah, I just want to get back out there. Every race that's, has me coming in to speak or whatever, have now pushed to the fall. So
yeah, lots of them.
I'm hoping that we can get back out there. I don't have anything really on my schedule. I'd like to personally do a couple races.
Yeah.
So probably do a couple trail runs local in Pennsylvania. Once they really get back to the normal. And I should be getting my vaccine in next week, I think. So right now in Pennsylvania, they're doing everyone 75 and older.
Yeah.
And then next week it's going to shift to 65 and older. So I'll fit in that category.
It's good stuff.
Well, getting the vaccine will be a big help. And, hopefully vaccinating people is going to help us out in general.
I hope so too.
Yeah. We'll see if we can really.
Yeah. How can people find you or find out more about your incredible history with running?
Yeah, I do have a website, bartyasso.com, but I'm really not active on it these days. And, but I do post stuff on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, and it's all Bart Yasso.
So there you go.
Yeah,
we will definitely link to.
Yeah.
We'll definitely link to your social media. We want people to be able to follow you and get the latest from what you're doing and sharing from your continuing running journey. From a guy who doesn't really know how to retire, apparently.
Retirement, it's a different life, but I still want to be I said when I left my office that I was still going to stay connected to the running community because it means a lot to me, and I have so many friends in this community, so I got to keep going.
Well, your connection to us and all of this time that you have blessed us with tonight has just been incredible. And
thank you.
We can't thank you enough for sharing your time with us and with the members of our Runcation Nation, our running community, our run, walk, run community, and runcationing community that we hope to be able to get back to really soon. Bart Yasso, Mayor of Running, you are an inspiration to us, and we appreciate the time you took to talk on our show today.
No worries.
It means a lot. It really does. So can you guess why I was so excited about this third part of the interview?
Tell me.
You don't know? No, you don't even know?
I can't guess. No.
Because we incorporated our patrons' questions.
Oh, yes.
That was so exciting for me to have planned this whole interview and arranged it successfully, and then to put it out there to the patrons and have some of the patrons submit some questions. Mm-hmm. That was amazing. And I hope that I do that again very soon.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was very nice of Bart to sit and entertain the questions and then just hang out and talk like that. So hopefully we will be able to reconnect with Bart in the not too distant future and perhaps bring you guys an interview with another luminary in the running world.
Oh, I hope so.
In the coming weeks and months.
I hope so.
If there's somebody that you guys would like to hear us talk to, let us know. Send us an email, info@runeatdrink.net, or you can reach out to us on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter.
Sure.
And just send us a DM and say, hey, why don't you guys try to get so-and-so? And let us know why and why you think that'd be a good interview. We'd love to get some ideas from you guys as to who you'd like to hear us talking to.
We will certainly do our very best to make it happen.
And you guys don't realize this, but Aimee she's like a duck on a pond. Looks very calm and cool and collected on the surface, but those feet are kicking like mad underneath. And she is hard at work already trying to land some other interviews for you guys. And I'm not going to say with who. I'm just going to say that we're having to navigate the international date line and hemispheres and craziness like that. So we're working on it, and we will let you know when there is something to let you know about.
We've done it before. We can do it again.
We can do it again. We have the technology. We can do it. We can't rebuild it, but we have the technology. We can make it happen.
Okay.
There we go.
Oh, yeah. I have the technology that tells me what time it is in every time zone. So
That's true. That is true. I also have the technology that tells me when it's time to eat.
Oh, yeah.
And it is time to talk about food.
You have to remind yourself to eat. Man, I want to eat all the time.
I'll tell you, this weekend, I really was feeling
That's why I run.
the brunch thing. I think it was a combination of the cooler weather.
We had some rain
and
over the weekend.
The cold front coming through.
And the cold front. And it just made you want to like have the bundle up and have one of those really soft coats and
or snuggie.
A snuggie.
A bathrobe. I don't know.
A snuggie is like a whole outfit. It's like a whole getup.
It is kind of.
It's backwards robe.
It's a really big backwards robe. Yeah.
Or is it like pajamas that you?
No. It's like a backwards robe.
I don't remember. I remember seeing the commercials.
It's a blanket with sleeves.
Yeah, but it was that kind of weather. The point is that it was that kind of weather, and that really made us. We just hankered for some brunch, some warming the soul kind of food.
Yeah, so we decided to go across the bridge over to downtown Fort Myers. And if you're not familiar with this part of Florida, Southwest Florida, we're about 2 hours south of Tampa on the Gulf Coast of Florida. So this is the area of the state where you tend to come. The beaches are a little more serene. You don't get the big waves unless there's a storm. We don't have big surf of any kind normally, but we do have great boating, great fishing.
Yeah.
We do have beautiful beaches in the area. And Fort Myers is the county seat of Lee County, Florida, which is the county in which we live. And that area it's an old city. It was founded in the 1800s. It's everything you would expect from a major metro. The downtown area is mostly commercial, law offices, government buildings, but there is an area down near the river that over the last several years has had a bit of a renaissance.
We have run by that river and across the older bridge, the Edison Bridge, during the Cops and Joggers, like I talked about before the running segment of our show.
Love that race.
Love that race because it was a nighttime race and they are few and far between, and we really miss those kinds of races. But it's a beautiful area. The sunsets are gorgeous over the water. Mm-hmm. But it's also a throwback to my childhood because at the arcade theater, there were many summer drama programs.
Really?
That I would participate in.
So you've played the arcade.
It was, you would audition and they would have several acts from local high schools make it into like monologues from plays and things like that. And
that is so cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's one of many historical buildings down there.
Mm-hmm. Harborside Convention Center. That's where I accepted the Golden Apple for Excellence in Teaching in 2002. So there are many very positive memories down there.
Yeah.
In downtown Fort Myers. Yeah.
And of course, in this area where it's begun to get revitalized, we're seeing this renaissance of small boutique food and beverage places, whether it's coffee shops, wine bars.
Mason's famous lobster rolls.
Mason's.
We covered them.
That's the most recent food from downtown Fort Myers. You're right.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's literally walking distance from the place we're going to talk about tonight. Mm-hmm. And Mason's is one of the newest restaurants down there.
Yeah. So I said D-Hop, but that was really the last one that we covered down there that was connected to a race held down there, I guess you could say.
Correct.
My bad.
Yeah. But it's got this beautiful area down there where you've got like this alleyway that you walk through that's brick, and the restaurants are all in a courtyard, and you're in that courtyard. You can go to 3 or 4 different spots. Where we're talking about, the Standard, is actually just outside of the courtyard on one of the main streets right in downtown.
Oh.
And it is a hopping place.
Especially at the time we were there. We were there on a Saturday.
Yes, Saturday morning. I think we were there around 10 or 11 o'clock.
Oh.
And there was something to be said about going to a restaurant like that. And I know right now many of our listeners are in states that are still in various stages of lockdown.
Sure.
And we're telling this story because we're painting the picture just to give you an idea. The rules are going to be different from state to state,
Sure.
and municipality to municipality. But here in our area, it's a very open environment. So restaurants are operating can operate at full capacity. Mm-hmm. Many have mask requirements for either patrons, staff, or both. And this one in particular, you have the option. Of course, nobody's going to tell you you can't wear your mask in, but they were really operating at capacity. Mm-hmm. And we got there and we hear music.
Not just any music. It was karaoke.
Karaoke, as they say in Japan.
Wow.
I don't know.
Wow. I don't even know what's going on right now.
Me either.
Yeah. But it was a hustle and bustle kind of environment. It was busy and loud. And I think that there was a bridal shower.
It was either a bridal shower or a birthday.
A birthday
or
of some
something.
sort, because somebody was wearing a sash, and it was just, and the bar was hopping. It was just, it reminded me of going out on the town before the pandemic.
Yeah, this was the closest thing we've had to a totally normal feeling outing.
Yes.
That we've had in a long time. And it was very pleasant for that reason. And it was great. We got there, we're talking with the hostess. She said, I have seating outside that they have in this particular area. The Standard is located on Broadway in downtown, and it's walking distance from some government buildings. Mm-hmm. And that particular stretch is a pretty well-traveled road, but
yes.
On the side of the business, it's a cut through that takes you out to the courtyard and back to, and in that cut through, there are some other businesses and they have some outdoor seating. So she was initially going to take us out there.
Yes.
And as we were walking through, one of the other waitresses told her, oh, that table is available. And they said, would you like to sit inside instead?
And it was nearer to the karaoke show.
Oh, yeah. We got a full view of the karaoke show. And actually, it was drag queen karaoke, to be specific. But it was not the drag queen performer actually performing. They were more the MC.
Yeah. Yes. But also our table was near the kitchen so that we could see many of the dishes on their way to tables.
And covet them.
So we could gauge the things that looked good to us and what we wanted to try.
What was your initial impression watching the food come out?
Oh, my God. Huge portions.
Oh, yep.
Huge portions. And at that time, it was brunch time. So it was $20 bottomless mimosa, bottomless Bloody Marys. I know this is not the beverage portion of our show, but we're seeing that come out, and we're seeing just,
And let me expand on that for just a second. The standard operating procedure, you see what I did there?
I see what you did.
Is that the bottomless mimosas and bottomless Bloody Marys are all day, every day, for $20.
Wow.
So when we talked to our waiter, I said, tell me what you're known for. And he said, we're known for our bottomless Bloodies. Okay. And I
remember him saying that. Shout out to Tim.
Yes.
Who took excellent care of us.
He was fantastic. Mm-hmm. And I also like the fact that as we walked to our table, we went by the bar and there were several local Florida breweries represented. They had Coastal Days Brewing, which is a local brewery in downtown Fort Myers.
Yep.
Big Storm was on there.
Yeah.
And a couple of others that were, if not the Southwest Florida area, they were at least Florida breweries as well.
Yeah. So I wish I'd taken a picture of the board, but I did not.
It would have been hard to get that shot. It was pretty, that there was a very large, that party we were talking about was quite large.
Mm-hmm.
But
let's talk about what we ate, though, because we've been going on and on about the environment.
I know, but it was
people.
I went on about it because the environment
It's so
was
good, though.
friendly, fun.
Yeah.
Look, I'm not going to lie. We were both making some noises or making some faces at the noises some of the singers were making. But it was fun.
I mean,
everybody was cutting loose.
I could ever do. I did karaoke one time.
I've never seen this, folks.
Well, I was in high school, and we were at two separate high schools, and you were in Tampa, and I was here, and the group I was with decided, let's get up there because it's the holidays and sing the 12 Days of Christmas. Never do
the 12 Days of Christmas.
Do the 12 because
that song goes on forever.
Yes. It's so bad. Don't ever do that. Oh.
Yeah.
It was never ending.
Yeah,
and at one point, I think I sat down and
took a break.
and took a break because it was just so never ending. Oh, it was so bad. And I can't carry a tune, so it was a disaster. So I can't ever do karaoke again.
Okay.
And so I'll have nightmares. But watching others is a thrill. It's enjoyable, no matter what their level of talent, skill,
commitment,
discipline.
Yeah. So we're watching the karaoke. And it's an amazing, diverse group of people. We had
it was so fun.
Everybody from kids to retirees in this place.
To
it was
trios
loud.
Of girls and just it was
very loud.
It was very loud.
We're looking over the menu, and let me give you guys an idea of some of the starters. They have house-made potato chips, of course, but then some southern, what would you call it? A southern delicacy?
Well, yes. It's a southern staple, if you will. The Cajun tossed fried pickles. Now, listen, I've seen fried pickles.
Yeah.
But Cajun tossed?
Sounds very interesting.
That's new to me.
That sounds interesting.
That's new.
They have poutine, buffalo chicken dip.
I don't see that all that often on a starter menu.
No, not at all.
The black and blue beef tips with blue cheese and arugula. It was like, it's almost described as a salad. But I'm going to tell you that based on our experience with our entrees, they don't skimp on beef or meat of any kind in any dish.
No. But we opted for a new menu item that was labeled as new on the menu. And that is their jalapeno, cheddar, and sausage corn muffins with Chris's homemade sausage baked inside.
Oh, and it came with butter, and there were 3 of them in the appetizer. And they came to the table warm. Almost
hot.
And you break them apart and you spread on the butter and it just melts. And it's not cakey, the consistency. It's just it's like the perfect cornbread. Just airy, and it crumbles in your mouth, and the sausage is not super spicy. If anybody is afraid of that, it is like the sage breakfast sausage flavor.
And I was going to say, it's also not a real overpowering flavor either.
It's a mild sausage flavor, and the spices are definitely there in terms of
flavor.
In terms of flavor and what you can taste in there. Not something that would coat your mouth, that would leave you with an aftertaste. No, not what I mean.
Did you get that from the jalapeno?
No, that's what I'm saying. In the sausage or the jalapeno, like the jalapeno was just there to be like a salt and pepper kind of thing, not really an overly spicy. Here, it's a chicken wing spicy sauce.
Yeah, I didn't get any spice at all.
No.
I thought that
or like a raw jalapeno. No. No.
I think what you said is exactly right. They almost used the jalapeno. They probably did a great job at deveining and de-seeding them, and they were really using the jalapeno for that green, waxy, peppery kind of flavor to complement that sausage.
Yeah.
To cut through the fattiness of the sausage. What'd you think of them?
They were delightful.
Would you get them again?
I would, but I want to try other things on the menu. You know what I mean?
I do. Oh yeah.
So, and
this was our first time going. We've been hearing about this place for 2 years.
Oh my gosh. And I know that the temptation is to sit down and immediately go back to something that you first ordered and first fell in love with, but black and blue beef tips, blues and barbecue, the pickles.
Yeah. They have a number of items on their starter menu that really tap into some Southern delicacy.
You could make a meal out of all the starters, I think.
Oh, without a doubt.
Or of 2 or 3 and be satisfied.
Yeah, and the starters range anywhere from about $6 on up to $14, depending on what you're getting.
Our jalapeno, cheddar, and sausage corn muffins were $6.
That's not bad.
No.
And they were the perfect size to lead into what I thought was an amazing brunch. And you ordered, if you had not ordered what you ordered, I was going to order it.
It was hard. They have different hash dishes in terms of brunch. They have different hashes. They had a Southwestern hash. They had a Radio City, and you'll see Radio City in their sandwich section, in their brunch section. It's their house-made pastrami.
I am a sucker for good pastrami.
And I was this close to getting that Radio City hash. But short rib was calling to me. Short rib. Or the Southwest hash that had chicken chorizo.
Yeah, now that was interesting to me because I've never seen a chicken sausage spiced like chorizo.
And it had the verde, like a green salsa.
Okay.
And so I'm a sucker for salsa verde. So I was this close to getting the Southwest hash, but the short rib, I love a good short rib.
And if you've ever cooked short ribs at home, they're a meat that requires a little bit of care to get right. But if you do it, the payoff is fantastic. But it usually requires you to not only sear them to get some caramelization on the meat, but you've also got to slow cook them.
Which is what I would, for many years, I would sear them and then put them in our crock pot for hours.
Yeah, because you got to go slow with those to break down the connective tissue so that they tenderize. But once you do, they're phenomenal. So yeah, talk about this hash.
I had a short rib hash, which was braised short rib, potatoes, like home fry potatoes, peppers, onions, and eggs your way with a side of toast. White wheat, rye, what have you, for $16.99. And I know you're thinking $16.99. Let me just tell you, there was an entire layer of short rib in this.
It was an obscene amount of food.
Every single bite had short rib in it, and the short rib was tender. You could tell that it would, if it were on the bone, it would fall off the bone.
Oh, that's perfect.
So great, and spiced perfectly, just a little bit of salty, and the short rib is just like those strings of meat with the peppers and the onion, and I got my eggs over easy, so it was that yolk that broke and just permeated the whole skillet. It came in a little, like, here's a single serving skillet. Single serving, you probably could split it with somebody and be full. But
I think so, yeah.
It was good. Meat in every bite, those peppers, onions, the egg. It was just a feed your soul kind of dish. And I would get it again, except for that I want to try the Radio City hash or the Southwest hash. But you got a sandwich.
Yeah, I was so torn because we just recently featured a hash on the show that you can cook at home. I love getting
the sweet potato hash. That was great.
And I love
good
getting
veggie hash,
like a meat hash like you got. I'm a huge fan of corned beef. I love pastrami. A hot pastrami on rye sandwich is one of my favorites of all time.
Oh,
So when I saw that short rib hash, when I saw the Radio City hash, I was really attracted to them. They tap into a lot of Southern influences, but they also tap into a lot of influences from the Northeast. So they had some things in here like smoked salmon bagel that was cream cheese, capers, red onion, tomato, hard-boiled egg.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorites. I love lox, eggs, and onions.
You talk about that a lot.
That's a favorite of mine.
Yeah.
But
biscuits and gravy is on the menu. Hello.
And you can add eggs to that.
Oh.
But I started looking at their sandwiches because they had a really interesting, diverse selection. They have
a vegan sausage sandwich.
They had a couple of vegan options, which I considered doing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I wanted to try some stuff that was uniquely theirs.
Sure.
They were doing an Eggs Benedict sandwich. They were doing a Southwestern Benedict.
Oh.
They were doing their takes on
you like a good
breakfast.
Benedict.
I do.
Yeah.
A breakfast burrito and breakfast quesadillas. They also had this sandwich called the Hangover.
I just love it for the name, personally.
And I read this and I said, this is probably the way I'm going to go.
It sounded so good.
Yeah. The sandwich it's $16.99 for the sandwich, and that comes with a side of the home fries as well.
Quite delightful.
The sandwich is topped with ham, bacon, the house-made sausage, scrambled eggs with caramelized onions, mushrooms, and cheddar cheese, and they do this on a brioche bun.
I love a brioche bun.
I do too. And this thing comes out. My plate is completely full. The sandwich
huge.
is somewhere between the size of a softball and
I don't know, like a Frisbee?
I'm thinking if a softball is this big, and I'm making a shape with my hands here, it's great, makes for great podcasting. Probably somewhere between a softball and a child's bowling ball. It was enormous.
Like a Nerf ball?
Yeah, maybe a Nerf football would be a great way. That's about right, a Nerf football.
Yeah.
So this thing comes out. It is overflowing. They must have had 3 eggs on that thing.
It looked amazing.
The ham was thick cut.
It's like country ham that my dad talks about.
Except it wasn't.
Served. I know.
The bacon was crisp. Their sausage, super mild but very flavorful. And the kind of the secret weapon on this sandwich was something I wasn't expecting, was how good the caramelized onions and mushrooms were. They actually served, they did a combination of basically sauteing probably either white or Vidalia onion, and then they basically chopped up baby Bella mushrooms and put that on the sandwich. And what a great combination to go with everything else, because the ham has a salt component, the bacon, the sausage, the eggs are, but then you get this bit of sweetness from the caramelized onions, and then you get this earthiness from the mushrooms. And then the cheddar is this tart component that kind of ties everything together. But and then just the cherry on top of my awesome breakfast sundae was the brioche bun. I love the eggy, slight sweetness
like
of a brioche.
Buttery bun.
Yeah, very much so. This sandwich was insane.
So good.
Yeah.
Oh.
And, you let me take a bite of yours. I was jealous of yours, but then I'd go back to mine and go, no, I'm pretty good. No, yours.
Why?
Because yours was insanely good.
The sausage on yours.
The short rib on yours. There was no wrong answer on at our table.
No.
So we ended up just super satisfied. We didn't go for any dessert after that.
Oh, how could you? I mean, I just couldn't. So I highly recommend the standard. I can't wait to go back and try other options.
Yeah, as races begin to return to Southwest Florida and members of the Runcation Nation and new listeners start thinking about coming down here for vacation, coming down here for runcations, you now have a place to go that is an absolute must check out for brunch while you're here.
We have featured some very, very strong local options of late, and this is no exception.
But before we go on and talk about the drink portion of our show, we want to say thank you to all of our patrons for your support and the growth you've allowed us to achieve, especially given that we're just coming off of that year that was 2020.
You have helped us so much, and your contributions as patrons, you have helped us grow in 2021 so much. And I mean, I can't wait for you to give the patrons a tour of the studio and all of the changes that they have helped us make to improve the quality of the show.
Yeah, what we didn't talk about in the previous segment was the fact that prior to us going out for brunch, I was actually hanging the computer display on the wall.
Yes.
And redoing some of the wiring, making sure that everything's, the cable management's done properly, and just waiting on some other stuff to get in. But we are almost there, and I cannot wait to show everybody. And this is 100% because of you guys.
He's putting the finishing touches on our technology so that we can keep bringing you the show. There are live races that some of you have run that are coming back slowly. But despite this past year's challenges and the challenges that are still going on, we've been able to keep bringing you great stuff in the show because of your support.
If you go to patreon.com/runeatdrinkpodcast, we've got 3 levels of monthly support, $2, $5, or $10. And each has its own special perks that enable us to keep adding content and adding quality to the show. And to return the favor, we are adding content and quality to those perks as well.
For example, we gave early access to the third part of Bart's interview this week. Patrons get a special thank you message from us, a birthday shout out, a look behind the scenes. There have been some behind the scenes pieces of footage that we've dropped into those early access videos. Your patrons get a look at cooking demos, exclusive tastings of favorite foods and beverages that maybe we didn't have time to cover on the show.
Or maybe we shot specially for them.
So if you're not a patron already, we hope that you'll visit patreon.com/runeatdrinkpodcast to learn more and become a patron today.
Our show's always going to be free, guys. But if you want more Run, Eat, Drink podcast content and you want to support the show long-term, check us out, patreon.com/runeatdrinkpodcast.
As always, we thank everyone for every way you have supported and continue to support the Run, Eat, Drink podcast.
Now let's talk drinks, because
we
didn't leave the downtown Fort Myers area for this.
We did not.
In fact, this was a great opportunity for us to explore, and it actually made me want to come back, because we've been hearing about a new spot that opened up in downtown Fort Myers for probably the last several months. It's popped up more and more. The Luminary Hotel.
Gorgeous.
Which is a beautiful resort-style hotel that has opened up in downtown Fort Myers right on the river.
It has that feel.
It is not only a spot that attracts people for vacation, people for business travel, it is also a convergent spot for locals.
Oh, yeah.
Because they've opened 3 restaurants there, one of which 3 restaurants and the coffee shop that we're going to talk about in a second. But the 3 restaurants, there are 2 sit-down restaurants downstairs and a sky bar.
Oh, yeah. That I want to go to so much.
And the sky bar has become a very fast favorite for locals here in Southwest Florida.
I really want to check it out.
So it looks like that tells me that the Run, Eat, Drink podcast is going back to the Luminary at some point. But
yeah, can we just have a staycation there?
We might be able to work that out.
Because it was gorgeous.
It really is place. Just beautiful, beautiful. And what I noticed when we were there, even their hotel bar had Florida beers on tap.
Yeah.
That was super cool.
Yeah.
But we're not talking beer.
No, we're not. We're not talking beer. And I know last week's beer chat was not really a beer chat. It was Coke and coffee.
It was.
Chat.
For the most part.
And
this week's probably not going to be a beer chat either. It's going to be some other kind of chat.
Yeah.
But we ended up going there specifically for coffee.
We did, because we saw an event pop up on social media.
Yeah.
That was a coffee connoisseur tasting and certification. And it was, $15 per person.
Mm-hmm.
And you get a tasting of several different types of coffee.
And this was hosted at the Luminary Hotel.
Mm-hmm. In their gorgeous space.
Okay. Yeah. Before we go on about the event, let's talk about that space for a second.
Yeah. The place where I guess it was labeled their workshop room, their conference room.
That's not a conference room.
It's a palatial estate. It's like it's stadium seating and humongous televisions set up for each area of the room.
The gallery,
if you will, so that whatever presentation is going on at the front, you can see everywhere.
And what is at the front of the room is a permanently built demo kitchen.
Like they're going to have cooking demos. They're going to have coffee tastings. They're going to have beverage demonstrations. I think that the possibilities are just endless.
It was just gorgeous. This looked like hundreds of thousands of dollars of investment for a beautiful space.
Yeah.
So we go there, paid our $15.
Yeah, you sign up online
and it was
through their event.
And it was an event posted by the Luminary Hotel on their Facebook page, I believe.
Yes.
Is where we saw it.
Yes. And it's a series of coffee tastings they're going to have all through the spring as well.
I would do it again.
Mm-hmm. Master roaster at Dean Street Coffee Roastery and the founder of Rebel Coffee in Cape Coral, Ulrich Winkler, actually gave the seminar along with his family.
And that was it was really sweet, actually. Yeah. He was just a very interesting man.
Yeah.
Listening to him talk about coffee and travel and
his life's work. It was his life's work.
It really was.
Yeah.
And it was about a 2-hour talk. I think that it was scheduled for only an hour. But it went about 2.
Yeah, and I think that part of that was in a traditional coffee tasting. He described a traditional coffee tasting, and that you would come up and you would have a spoonful of the coffee and
slurp
it, and then
spit
into.
It's like a wine tasting.
Yeah. But current conditions dictated that we would have a setup at our seats.
That was very smart.
Yeah, and there was a tall cup, and then there were several little cups where they would make a French press of the different types of coffees that he taught us about, and then we would get to sample those.
Yeah, he and his family, he would give the talk, and it was basically a lecture.
Yeah, and he had up on the televisions that were all across the room, there were beautiful keynote slides full of information.
Yeah. It really was a very condensed version of that coffee college that
That's what you were saying the whole entire time, too.
I was like, this is great. Yeah. And I remembered a lot of it, and some of it I'm like, oh, yeah.
Hey, the history. And I think he even laughed about this. He's like, how do they even know? It was before Wikipedia. It was before we even wrote encyclopedias. Like, where this was handed down probably through oral storytelling tradition. And just how that a goat herder was the first to find coffee because of the different behavior of segments of his goat herd.
That were eating the cherries.
The coffee cherries. Yeah. And half of them were like, hey, yeah, we could stay awake all night. And then like half of them weren't. And when he tried the cherry, and the way that it was told in the seminar was that he didn't like the taste. So he threw it in the fire, and then it released the pleasant aroma of the coffee bean. And I'm sure that there are several different variations as to the way that was told and but it's just interesting that the story of how coffee was discovered. And he also went into health benefits of coffee, which I was a super fan of.
So we're basically going to be immortal, which is nice to know.
Mm-hmm. I think one of our followers sent me a meme that said there's something about coffee benefits. The more you drink, the better off you are. So I'm going to be immortal. Yep. Some kind of coffee meme like that.
I think it was Dan Rams who sent
was
that.
Was it?
I think
so.
Yeah.
And I was like, great. Because you have a decreased risk of certain kinds of cancer, like colon cancer, postmenopausal cancer, liver cancer. And he was citing studies, and I was like, this is my kind of research. Yes. Healthful benefits of coffee.
It really was.
For the win.
And the whole time. So he's lecturing, and as he's lecturing, his family is circulating through the room, and they're pouring you just a little tasting of different varietals of bean from around the world.
Yeah.
And he is going into the difference between types of bean, whether it's Arabica beans or Robusta beans.
Oh, he saved Robusta for very last because he said that it would ruin our palates if we had it first.
He wasn't wrong.
Because it just, I didn't, just full transparency, I didn't really care for it.
And that's not surprising. Typically, and he touched on it, but that was even when I was in coffee college, they talked about the fact that the Robusta variety of bean is much more hardy and can grow anywhere, like a weed.
Like a weed, yeah.
And it doesn't have the same flavor. And a lot of times because it doesn't require as much care and tending, and it'll grow anywhere. Yeah. It's a cheaper, lower quality bean. It's often used by lower quality coffee companies.
Yeah.
And it tasted exactly like old burnt office coffee. And this was
coffee.
This was a fresh, medium roasted French press, and it tasted that way. Now imagine putting that coffee bean in an old percolator or a Mr. Coffee, or just letting it sit for hours.
Yeah.
Ugh. Terrible. But that was nice to contrast the Arabica and the Robusta bean.
Yeah. It's interesting, and I didn't really know about that kind of the two most common varietals. And also, there was a diagram of the whole coffee plant, and he went into the way that the coffee was harvested and showed off some pictures from his travels. And I didn't know that the longer a coffee bean was roasted, the less caffeine it has.
Yes.
Hello.
Everybody thinks that it's espresso is what's going to get you. Wrong. It's that light roast that's going to get you.
Yeah. So live and learn, like all these different facts.
Yeah, I thought it was a lot of fun. I would go to the rest of the series, and I loved the fact that every coffee they brought around tasted a little bit different.
Yeah.
Reinforced some of my established likes and dislikes that I already have.
Your knowledge, your coffee knowledge also.
Yeah, a little bit, but mainly that, I still don't really care for Ethiopian coffee. I really like Costa Rican.
Yes, you do. You talk about that a lot, Costa Rican.
Yeah, just little things like that was kind of nice to see. And then we also learned, he was pointing out the fact he was not a fan of certain coffee pods.
Yes.
Because the companies don't use the best quality beans, according to him, depending on the manufacturer of that particular pod. But the one that we've defaulted to for our house uses high quality coffee, but it's very expensive.
Yes.
So
we love it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Aimee talks about it on her coffee chats. So
you know what it is.
We're not going to plug it here, though.
Yeah. You know what it is.
But it was, I had a blast. And he was presenting. He was very knowledgeable.
And funny.
And the place, again, that space was great. And it's right on the backside of Dean Street Coffee in the hotel lobby.
Which at the end of the seminar, when we received our certificates, he told us there would be a quiz at the end, but there was no quiz. He was very nice to us. He gave us certificates of completion, and then he had us do, normally I think that the roasting demonstration would be more of a group kind of field trip and a little bit more intensive, but it was basically like a walk by when you see some of the coffee roasting.
Yeah, and we were able to, after the class, go out to Dean Street, which is basically, when you think of a high-end hotel coffee shop, that's what you're going to see there.
Yeah.
Beautiful tile backsplash, great little pastry case and
roasters right there.
Grab and go. But that was a nice touch.
That was so great.
They actually are roasting coffee right there.
Right there.
And you can smell it and watch it and walk right up and see the roasting happening.
Yeah. It was a great experience.
Yeah. So we had a lot of fun there. And we also got to talk to him a little bit and learn a little bit about his company, Rebel Coffee Roastery, here in Cape Coral. So we're going to have to try to make our way over there in the not too distant future.
Of course.
And try some of his local wares as well. So we're going to link to this because, again, if you're traveling to Southwest Florida, and it's within your means, if you're looking for a nicer hotel experience, you may want to consider staying downtown at the Luminary Hotel. It puts you right there with some amazing food in the hotel. It puts you in an area right on the river that's great for getting your morning run in. Oh,
yeah. But then also the night view would be spectacular from that rooftop bar. And so many benefits. And
then, of course, you were just a hop, skip, and a jump away from brunch at the Standard. Or
you could walk there.
Or any of the other places in downtown Fort Myers that you might want to go to explore.
Yeah, there's some really vibrant and awesome places.
Yeah, can't say enough good about it. So check that out. We're going to have links to all of this in the show notes.
Yes. Next week, we continue our series of episodes to help keep you motivated. We've had an awesome interview these last 3 weeks. And this next week, we have yet another interview to introduce you to some fellow podcasters you should be listening to if you aren't already, and a virtual race that they're hosting that promises to be tons of fun.
Do I have to finish my virtual before next week? Or are we just going to talk about their virtual?
Their virtual isn't until April.
So I have to finish my virtual for next week.
So we're going to give our listeners and the Runcation Nation some time to sign up so that we can all partake.
So Dana's going to be running this week.
Yeah.
I got to get caught up.
Well,
That's okay. I'm
right.
I'm up for the challenge.
Yeah, we don't have to have a report next week. We could have a report maybe the following week if you want.
I'll leave that up to you. I just know that I'm going to be running.
Yeah.
So that's fine.
Yeah, and I'll continue to plod along and make progress.
If you haven't yet, please take the time to follow us on social media so you don't miss a minute of the fun when it comes to our live chats and more. Aimee is all over Instagram doing coffee chats. We do a weekly beer chat in the evenings on Wednesdays. On Instagram and Facebook, we are at Run, Eat, Drink Podcast, all one word. And on Twitter, we are at Run, Eat, Drink Pod. And since we've started doing some live streams using StreamYard, we are also broadcasting our live streams to Twitter using their Periscope app. So you can check out. Comes through on Twitter. So you can check our video streams out right there on Twitter. Join the rest of the Runcation Nation as we all share tips and tricks and just laugh and hang out together and build community together.
Yeah. So thank you all for joining us on your long run, your commute to work, around the house, wherever you are. I am your host, Aimee.
And I'm your co-host, Dana.
Stay safe, stay well, and we will accomplish, explore, and indulge with you really soon. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Run, Eat, Drink podcast. We're having another great year thanks to your support. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We're at Run, Eat, Drink Podcast. And on Twitter, we're Run, Eat, Drink Pod. You can also give us a call at 941-677-2733 or send us an email at info@runeatdrink.net. Visit our website at runeatdrink.net and click on the subscribe link so you don't miss a minute. Find out how you can support the show at patreon.com/runeatdrinkpodcast. Accomplish, explore, and indulge right along with us. We'll talk to you next time.